Hey, deserving listeners, sister wives, let's watch.
I don't get that. That's weird to me that she's like so confused.
It's like, I don't know how. I guess I just need to wrap my head around the fact that, okay, you can still get married. I don't know how you're going to have kids.
Jesus criminy cripes. Under normal circumstances, I'd be like, well, I guess maybe she doesn't understand IVF. I don't know. That would be weird, but I wouldn't know. But we just saw her talking to Robin, and maybe they shenanigans that edit. It didn't look like it. And Robin just said, she was very explicit. She's like, there's a place you can go and you can get the baby juice, and then you just put it in you and you get a baby. Like, so, and Meri didn't seem to be astonished by that. Like, what are you talking, so if you're Mariah, you either think your mom is just like completely ignorant of how the world works, or you would conclude that your mom really is saying she just doesn't want to accept it,
Like,
I'm not going to spell it out for her. If she wants to know, she can figure it out.
I just expected that you would marry a guy and you guys would have kids together, and I'd be there to help you plan your wedding, and I'd be there to...
Meri, get out of the rut. We've heard that. You've already said you keep saying that over and over again. And don't smile and laugh while you're doing it. Move on. Yeah, okay, I get it. If you're married, okay, I clearly this is hard for you to let go. Just, can we move forward?
help you through your labors, when you had kids. I know it's still can.
The other thing, of course, is that, at least in the edit on the show, the main trauma for her is that she had at least one miscarriage and couldn't conceive more than one child. And that was a big deal in this family. It was a big part of her identity. It was a big part of the family's pity on her. And in this group, and, just in society, it can be stigmatized. It can be concluded that you're a barren wasteland of a human. You don't have enough motherly power to conceive, and you're worthless as a person. And it's common and unfortunate that women will feel that way in our society anyway, but in their group I think it's particularly intense. It can be, I'm just guessing. So that could be wrapped up in this. But again, fine, move on.
Happen if you want it to. It's just going to happen a little differently.
I mean, yeah, I did just want to get out of the chair and just be done with it.
It's not like I want to know every little detail. Like right now, obviously, we're not at a place that you would feel comfortable doing that.
Okay, so here's a little test. Here's a little exercise. Us, especially as systemic family therapists, we are trained in communication and meta-communication and reading between the lines, and understanding that is to understand what's actually happening in families and in a session. So I'm going to rewind this and listen to her words verbatim. She's just making a statement, right? But what's she trying to say? And it's not a good way to communicate it. It's a very passive way to communicate it. But in order to understand ourselves, understand other people, and understand, especially if you're helping people communicate, then we have to have an idea as to what the goal is. And whenever we're communicating, and if we're not saying, the saying in our field of family therapists is that you're never not communicating. meaning that you're always communicating. Even when you're not communicating in the colloquial sense, you're communicating something, by not saying anything or by being quiet, you're communicating something. Anyway, so what is she communicating? What's trying to come out? And the flow chart is there's a desire to say something, but then it gets so convoluted with defenses and fears and habit. Let's rewind.
I mean, yeah, I did just want to get out of the chair and just be done with it.
It's not like I want to know every little detail. Like right now, obviously, we're not at a place that...
And also just the half sentences, it's so frustrating. Just finish the sentence, Meri. We're on pins and needles. So she's saying something. What's she trying to say? We don't know. So pause it and think, because it's a good exercise to try to intuit this, given the context, given what you think about Meri, given what you would imagine she would be afraid to say directly. Also, just given what you think she even knows about herself, But what I receive from this is she would like to know all the details, but she's afraid because she's afraid to ask because she doesn't think that Mariah will want to tell her. And so she says she says, it's not like I want to know all the little details because our relationship isn't good right now or something like that, right? I think it's way more fundamental. And that's the other thing to think of is just like, what's the human fundamental to that communication, right? Because that's not a fundamental, a statement of just like, I don't want to know all the tiny little details. That's not really what's fundamental is she wants love and connection, and she wants to be a part of her daughter's life. And so that's probably where it started, and then it got convoluted on the way out, and then it comes out of, well, I don't want to know it. She's almost having a conversation with herself. In fact, she really is. Mariah said nothing along in terms of the edit in topic along these lines. She's saying out loud to herself, it's not like I want to know all the details because we're not very close. And she's hoping that Mariah will understand and bridge the gap, that Mariah will save the day. Because I think that's often what happens to Meri, is that she throws shit like this out and then people make up for it. I think Cody does this, and I think Mariah has done it, unfortunately, which is prentifying her.
Okay. Are you still religious? How does this change things? Okay. All right. Never mind if you don't want to answer that.
Not really.
Mariah, this is what I'm saying. I just don't know where you are.
No, I'm not religious, but
Okay.
I'm spiritual.
That's cool.
That's what you could say.
That's cool. I have no problem with that.
Okay, so when given a chance to ask a question, she says, are you still religious? And Mariah answers. And then Meri says, that's cool. I'm cool with that. And I could imagine Mariah thinking, I don't know if you're cool with it. Why would you ask that question if you're cool with whatever answer you get? Or it is in line with what I was thinking, which is that she is cool with it. She just wants to get close. She just wants to be a part of her daughter's life. And the kind of questions that are popping up in her head are like these questions that can be easily interpreted as bigotry or at least rigidity. You know what I mean? I mean, that's not a directly bigoted statement, but it's sort of in that camp, right? Like a better question that would be free from all that baggage would just be like, again, I've been role-playing this, but if Meri just like really laid it on thick of like, I love you, I'm happy for you, I have no negative feelings about it. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but fundamentally, I've zero. It'd be bizarre, honestly, if she were completely okay with it, given society and given their religious group. But anyway,
I would love to have the kind of mom-daughter relationship with her that we could talk to each other.
And by the way, I didn't show this bit, I don't think, that Meri said that Mariah, after having come out to the family, went to Robin to talk with Robin about more, So that could make Meri feel even worse, right?
About everything. I want her to feel like she can talk to me. Tell me what you thought of my reaction. I mean, did it offend you? Were you concerned?
I wasn't offended. I kind of expected it, to be honest.
Just silence? Or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Mariah is saying, if it's one or both of the following of bigotry or, religious programming, or if it was Mariah knowing that Meri would shut down. So that's disheartening that she knew it.
I could be doing better things with my time.
Mariah, you've got to know that it came as a shock. I mean, how can I, I'm sorry I didn't, jump up and down and,
It's fine.
I don't know how I was supposed to.
My God, Meri, someone needs to, that hook on stage, when everyone's booing, someone just needs to hook her out of there. She just keeps digging her grave. It's just so awkward, and it's like the most awkward, horrible, I don't know if it's bigoted or not. It could easily be, but at the very least, it's the most self-centered, awkward, problematic, uncaring, non-parent, non-motherly, non-fatherly, non-reaction that you could imagine. She asked the question, what did you think about my reaction? It seems like she cares, right? What did you think about my reaction that I just sat there? And then Mariah says, well, I don't know, just kind of expected it. And then she gets defensive. Well, you got to understand, it was quite a shock. Okay. I'm sorry I shocked you. Other people weren't reacting that way. You were the most silent, Okay. What's your reaction?
React.
Okay.
I mean, I held your hand and I told you I love you. That was the most that I feel like that I could do, because you're not
I don't care that's how you reacted. That's just what I expect. It's not like I'm...
Right. Mariah is saying, I'm not criticizing you. You asked me. You told me you were silent. Or you reminded me of that, and you asked me how I felt. And I said, well, it was expected. It's like, so what did you want me to say, Mom? That I loved it? It was the best? I didn't say it was bad. I just said I expected it. I mean, I think it's implied, And just to be so self-centered and childish and just focus on that last thing and just lose the thread, which is, this is the time to shine, Mom. And you're not.
I don't care.
Okay, well, I love you.
I know. It's hard to have conversations with her sometimes just because it's really easy for us to kind of snap at each other. I just don't understand why you're so frustrated.
Just want you to let me in. I feel like you're blocking me out, and I'm so tired of it.
Yeah, if this is indicative of the relationship, which I get, and Meri is normal and good for having these feelings, I think that given Mariah's demeanor, especially in this conversation, because the adult in the room is Mariah, not Meri. So that leads me to believe that Mariah has had to deal with this very passive, non-adult-like style of communicating with her mom her whole life. And so I think that there's a chance that Mariah worked and tried and made up for, and it culminated in the catfishing thing where Mariah, again, is being, parentified and trying to save her mom from herself. And the mom rejected Mariah and said, no, you don't understand. Sam is real and he's great and you have to like him, and I like him. I'm going to run away with him. I mean, I don't know if she said that, but I think there's a chance. And there's a good chance that Mariah in that moment was just like, okay, fuck it. I'm done. And in order to cope, she just said, I just have to grieve this loss. I just have to distance myself from the toxicity. And my mom even told me she thinks that I'm wrong, and so she doesn't want my help. So then I'm done. And then I think she might have said to herself, I'm not gonna be the adult in the room anymore. I'm not gonna make up for it. I'm not gonna bridge the gap. If she wants to bridge the gap, then she's got to do it, because I'm done making up for her deficits. And then normally I think for Meri, she could just sit down with Mariah and just say, I want to talk, and then Meri could be passive and fuck it up, but Mariah would make up for it, and Mariah's not doing it this time. And Meri's, I think, frustrated with that. I think Meri sees it as Mariah is being willful and stubborn, when what I saw was whenever there was an opening, Mariah was like, oh, thank you, Mom. I really mean that. And so I think Meri could have done a minimum and more, and things would have gone in the right direction, because I think Mariah was up for it. But given just how royally Meri fucked this up, I think Mariah's just like, I as a policy, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to placate her. I'm not going to I'm not going to lead her toward what is obvious, because even if I did that, it wouldn't be sincere. I'm open. If she comes to the table with any shred of non-selfish, actual, like, concern about me, because that's the other thing here. It's like, you could interpret everything that's happening right here as Meri has no concern for her daughter. Everything is, this is weird to me, and I always wanted a son-in-law and kids, and I don't know what to do, and I was shocked. Okay, fine, Meri, great. What about your daughter? My God, Meri, what about your daughter?
I just want to know. I want to be involved in her life. That's all it is. Or I just need to accept the fact that this is where it is, and when she's ready to let me in, then she does.
It's not her letting you in. It's you actually putting effort. And, I don't blame Meri. She didn't choose this defense and this style and this way. And it's kind of disappointing, too. I wonder how many of you were yelling at the screen, because I feel like a few weeks back I had realized that Meri was the only one I identified with, but I don't think I knew Meri. I think I saw the placating Meri and the level-headed seeming Meri, but behind that facade is not that, I think. So I retract. I am not like this at all. I am not a passive, fused communicator. I have my problems, but it's not that. And when I encounter that, I really notice it. And since I'm not anything like that, it can be, and I'm similarly frustrated. It's like, think, stand on your own 2 feet and say something, finish a sentence. It's not her fault, though. It's not her fault. Something happened to her. It's not her fault. It's disappointing. I feel bad for Mariah. I feel really bad. I actually particularly feel bad for Meri. Mariah seems like she has moved on and figured it out and is moving forward in her life. And Meri will just be stuck with this, Yeah.
And that's not what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
I thought we were going to be talking about me being gay, and instead we're talking about our relationship. I'm not there yet.
Are you okay where we are?
I just really need you to stop pushing me, because I'm good here.
Yeah, that is in the direction of what I was wondering, is that Mariah came to a head during the catfishing, and Mariah drew a boundary, and knows that to get involved is to get involved. And until what she's waiting for, and I think she even said, Mariah said, and also, Meri has seen the show. So Meri would have seen the episodes in which Mariah in a previous season would be talking. Anyway, so what I think she's waiting for is for Meri to say, I am so sorry for what I put you through with the catfishing thing. You were trying to tell me, and I wouldn't listen, and that's my fault. Eventually, it wasn't really my fault because I was being catfished. I was being intimidated and controlled and threatened. But there was an early zone there when I was just, I don't know, I was just so, I guess I was just so lonely, and I just ate it up, and you were trying to tell me, and I wouldn't listen, and I even fought with you. I even tried to convince you to like him. And then you threw your hands up in the air, and I'm just so sorry for putting you through that. You should never have. Even if that happened to me, I should never have even exposed you to it. You're my kid. You shouldn't have to deal with your mom's stuff like that. That's unfair. And I've done that in the past, and that's my bad. I shouldn't have done that. I'm guessing that's what Mariah's looking for. Just something. I can't imagine Meri saying that now. I could have before, but not now. Or just 10% of that. I think Mariah would loosen up and maybe even return to being parentified and make up for Meri's. That's not uncommon for it to happen, where you draw a boundary and then the Marys of the world will give you 5-10% of what you deserve. And then you're like, ugh, and then your heart warms up and you're like, okay, fine. And then you settle back into the old enmeshment, and then you're back at it again, just, carrying all the weight. I could see Mariah doing that, but Meri's going the opposite direction. It's so weird.
I don't think that I've been pushing you. I mean, I haven't talked to you for a long time.
But then you still bring it up, like you just did.
Okay.
And I'm not there yet.
Okay.
And I can't give you a timeline, but it's not going to probably be when you want it.
Okay.
And I just need you to be okay with that.
Okay.
Anyone else, or I don't know anyone, but a lot of other people in Meri's shoes would say, instead of just, okay, I'll wait, I think people would say, okay, well, what does she want to hear from me, right? What have I not said yet? Or what have I yet to admit to myself? Or is my daughter wrong, right? But that's not what happens. What happens is Meri just goes, okay, because that all fits. There's a lot of ticks in the column, a lot of very confident, demonstrated ticks in the column of someone that is a pathological placater and a pathological pleaser and disconnected with doesn't even know what she needs. And paradoxically, a lot of people with this syndrome will feel like everyone is being unfair to them. They will secretly know to themselves that everyone is being unfair to them. And that might be the case at times, because pleasers can match with bulldozer people. But in this instance, that's not what's happening in my estimation. And what that does is that gives them, the placater, the dependent person, some solace of just like, well, I'm not the bad guy. I'm the good guy. The other person is the bad guy. And then until the bad guy stops being the bad guy, then I'll just wait, I guess. And it keeps her in this zone, And for Meri, she, keeps saying, I love you. That's all that she said to Mariah after Mariah came out. And I could imagine for Mariah that really being an empty statement, right? Because, okay, you could say you love me, but love is an action. It's a vibe. It's a feeling It's a way. It comes from the heart. It's just not just words. And I think Mariah knows that her mom loves her. I don't think that I don't think anyone thinks that Meri doesn't love her, but it only goes so far, or at least from Mariah's perspective, it could feel like it only goes so far, because it's like, if you really loved me, like, you would have adjusted in the time that I came out to you until today to the fact that I'm gay and that I'm not going to marry a guy and have kids with him. Like, that's all you've been saying.
I have a huge concern that things are just going to stay how they are, and I'll just kind of always be an outsider.
This is an oven one, not a stovetop.
I will say that is a common vibe or complaint or observation of passive communicators like Meri, that they're an outsider. They feel like an outsider. They worry about being an outsider. They worry about being left out, and they leave themselves out. They can become so invisible that people don't even think to engage, or they just get the vibe that the passive person doesn't really want to be involved, Or when they do get involved, they fuck it up so royally, like she did here, that it's just like, let's just go back to you being invisible. And it's just so much suffering, for the Marys of the world. It's just a constant internal voice of suffering that is just so hard to change, It's unfortunate. It's just so unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm seeing that Mariah's really not interacting much. I'm not sure exactly what's going on in her head, but I hope that she's hearing it.
Well, anyway, this is so boring.
Yeah.
I'm just so over it. Like, why are we still talking about this?
It was so 2015.
Yeah.
Okay, so to catch you up, we're a couple seasons later. It's season 13, and they are still distant, Mariah and Meri. And in line with Meri's inability to talk and navigate these situations, she has asked a friend, a colleague, if you will. They're both victims of catfishing. And so Meri asked this individual come and talk to Mariah. And Mariah has a partner now. I'm trying to remember her name. I wrote it down somewhere. It was last season that she, but anyway, so it was not a productive conversation. I think Mariah is waiting for, no, I don't think, I know that Mariah, she stated that she recognizes that the catfishing is real and the victimization is real, and that, Meri was complicit in the beginning, at the very least, and that Mariah was trying to tell her to not go down that road, and Meri didn't listen. So I think that, she's waiting, and it's disappointing that for Meri, she brings this other person in, and this other person is just trying to emphasize how victimizing it is. And Mariah will say, yeah, that must have been really horrible, that what you went through, and I totally agree that you were victimized, But for Mariah, she's just like, that doesn't change what. And there was even a one-on-one or an interview with Mariah and her partner where she's talking to the producers, and Mariah's like, I've learned that it can be very liberating to admit when you're wrong and to grow from it, and just admit it to yourself, and to tell the people when you're wrong at times, even if you weren't entirely wrong. And I just think it would be good for Mom to be able to do that. That, she was victimized, and there was some culpability for her, I think, particularly in the beginning. So Mom's not doing that. So yeah, it's 2 seasons. So this is the 4th season because the end of season 9, so we have 9, 10, and then the catfishing was happening before that, right? So I think it's been a few years of distance. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's pretty disappointing. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.